Hey everyone, it's Erica from Superior Budgets. Welcome back or welcome to my channel if you are new. Today we are going to be doing my budget with me. I'm so glad that you're here for this. It's going to be a little bit of a different one today because I'm going to showcase the budget spreadsheet that I have been working on. As I've talked about in past videos, the budget spreadsheet that I was using was really bothering me. There was a lot of calculations and stuff that weren't adding up. The money wasn't adding up. It wasn't making sense. Didn't necessarily track all the things that I wanted it to track. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. I am so done with this spreadsheet. But I did take a lot, my spreadsheet looks very, very similar to that spreadsheet. I will say that. I really liked the layout of the spreadsheet and everything like that. It just didn't like how the calculations didn't work. And I didn't like how it tracked certain things. So I added some things in. I figured out why the calculations weren't working. So that was a positive. So anyways, yeah, I'm very excited to get into this with you guys and show you my budget spreadsheet. I'm going to be using it some more. I have sent it to somebody else for them to use it and just test it out, see how it works, make sure that everything works the way that I want it to work, and then maybe I will sell it. I also still need to make a debt tracker portion of it. And if you guys can think of anything else that you would want on a budget spreadsheet that you don't see in this one, let me know. And then maybe I can add that as a tab as well, because I want it to be literally the ultimate financial planner. I think is what I called it. What did I call it? Tracker. The ultimate financial tracker is what I called it. So, yeah, anyways, we're going to get into this. I'm going to stop yapping and we are going to check out the spreadsheet and then we're going to go do my budget for this pay. I'm not going over last pay's budget because I didn't enter any of my stuff because I was just so over that spreadsheet. So, I will enter it and show you guys on my new tracker. So I'm very excited. All right, anyways, enough yapping. Let's get to the screen share and get into it. Okay, guys, so I will be making this tab look a little prettier. I just quickly typed it up. So this is the instructions tab to my ultimate financial tracker. So I have just where you start, how you do the setup and everything like that, the monthly calendar, the budget sheet, and then I have actual how to use the transaction log and what each thing how to do certain things within the transaction log, like logging your expenses on your credit card and logging expenses from your direct deposit account, and I also have paying an expense with a sinking fund and stuff like that. So this is the setup tab. Again, like I said, looks very similar to the previous one that I was using. There are some additions here. I have your the accounts tab or the accounts section. So one thing that I didn't like about the other spreadsheet is every transaction that I logged, no matter where it came from. So if I spent that money on my credit card and I didn't actually pay it yet out of my checking account, it would come out of my, it would show up on that budget sheet. If I had a sinking fund with $500 in it for my dog and I went to the vet and I used that $500 for the dog, then I would have to put it in as a negative, which would show up on my budget tab as a negative savings amount. So if I was doing a breakdown, an overview of my paycheck, it looked really, really messy. So I really didn't like that. I didn't like that it was showing up on my budget tab for the pay, how much, it showed every transaction and it showed it as if it came out of my direct deposit income. And I have several different accounts. I have, my high yield savings account for all of my sinking funds. I have my Neo savings account, which is another high percentage one for my travel. And I have, I have the account where my Etsy income goes into, and all of this stuff. Like, I have a ton of different accounts, and I didn't like how I couldn't track them accurately. So I have a spot here where you can put in all of your different accounts, like if you have a checking account, a savings account, all of those things, you put them in here. You put in what kind of account type it is. That's basically just for your own knowledge. And then you can put in the start balance of all of your different accounts. Now, all of these checkings and savings accounts and the start balances will show up on the account tracker tab. So this entire tab will auto-populate with the transaction log. You do not change anything in here, but it'll show you, it'll populate with the account up here, the account name. So I'll give you an example. If I go to the setup, I have a RBC checking account. Okay, and I'll just say my start balance is 1,000. Okay. So if I go over to my account tracker now, it has my RBC checking account, and it has my start balance, and then it has my current balance. So it'll go through, it'll take all of your transactions that you put into the log, and it'll say how much money went into that account in that month, how much went out, so what your net is, and then it'll show your current balance. So what I struggled with my previous spreadsheet is I would go to my next month's budget and it would say, oh, you have this much rollover, like $100 rollover, and I didn't have $100. I maybe had 200 or I had 50. It never added up, so I could never actually see and visualize and know that I'm tracking properly because it didn't show it on here. Like, I wasn't able to see, okay, yeah, April's done. It's saying I have a balance of $1,000, and I look in my RBC checking account, it's the end of April, and I have $1,000. Like, I want to be able to see that to make sure that I'm logging everything appropriately. So that is the accounts tab. So that's different from the previous spreadsheet. Now, in the setup, you also have your credit and borrowing accounts. So if you have multiple credit cards that you spend money across, if you have a line of credit that you frequently use for any kind of purchases or whatever. So I have my RBC credit card. This will show up on the master budget spreadsheet. So here's my RBC credit card in my credit and borrowing account tracking. Okay? So that shows up there. Now, if you have a balance on that card when you first start this, so let's say I have a starting balance of $1,000. Okay? When you go to your master budget spreadsheet, it'll show your remaining balance on your card. So I want to be able to see how much money I spent on my credit card and then how much money I put back onto it to see if I have any owing and outstanding funds that like transactions that I didn't pay back. So now I have more of a balance on my credit card. Does that make sense? So it'll add that. So let's say if I spent $200 and I only put $100 onto my Visa, like onto my credit card, it'll show up as remaining as 1,100. And it shows up in red because it's a negative balance. Like, I owe that much money onto that card. Okay? So that being said, same deal with all your stuff here. You enter in all of your income sources, your bills, expenses, savings, debt. It'll auto-populate the entire spreadsheet. So if I put here paycheck, I put hydro, groceries, savings is Christmas, and debt is credit card. Okay? So I put in all of those. It'll now populate on my budget tab, paycheck, hydro, groceries, Christmas, credit card. Okay? So all of that populates. You put in all of your things. You can have up to, I can't remember how many income sources, but 40 bills, expenses, savings, and debts. You can have up to 40. Now, because I added in my RBC checking account, this account is the account that my paycheck gets deposited into. So any money movement that I do if I'm putting money towards my sinking funds, if I'm putting it onto my debt, if I'm, if I use my checking account to pay for my groceries or any of that stuff, that's the main account. That is my direct deposit account. That's the account where all of your spending comes from, whichever which way it's going, okay? So you get to select what your direct deposit account is, and your master budget sheet will only track the expenses to that account, like that are on that account, basically. Instead of tracking everything, like if I spend on my credit card, it's not going to log it here until I pay it off, okay? So that's how that works. Currency, obviously, you can put in a $sign, then that'll auto-populate all your currency areas. Bills and subscriptions, okay? So this is saying this will auto-populate. Hydro, let's say you pay, this is a variable amount, so it's going to be different, but let's say it's $150 every single month, okay? Your monthly calendar will auto-populate all of your bills all of the time, and it'll change with the month. So on the previous spreadsheet that I had a calendar made out for every single month. And then I had to go in and manually adjust the dates. So like my vehicle payment comes out bi-weekly. So one month it might be the 13th and the next month it might be the 12th. And then like vice versa. So that date was always changing. So I was tired of going in and editing that all the time. I didn't want to have to do that. I want it to be very like, your setup's going to be a little intense, but everything else after that's going to be pretty smooth sailing. So I'm going to say bill start date as of January 1st. So what is the first day that you're paying that bill? So we're going to say it's the 5th of Jan 26, okay? And the frequency of my hydro bill, we're going to say it's bi-weekly. Now, if you pay this from a sinking fund, which we don't, maybe you do, I wanted that in there as an option for you so that you can kind of track it for yourself. And then from account, so if it comes out of your RBC checking account, if it comes off your credit card automatically. And we're going to say, we'll just say that this comes off my credit card and it's an automatic payment. Now, this is just for your own knowledge so that you can keep track of what's automatic, what you have to pay manually, etc. Okay? So, that is your bills and subscriptions. Then we have savings and sinking funds. So you can put in your goal amount. Let's say you have a goal amount of $1,000. Your starting balance is 0. And I'm going to start saving for Christmas on 1st of January 25 or 26. And I want to have this saved up by the 1st of December 26 so I can buy my Christmas presents. Okay? Now, my previous spreadsheet would only track the monthly contribution, but I don't get paid monthly. I make bi-weekly contributions from my paycheck for my sinking fund. So I have it set up so it'll automatically calculate your bi-weekly and your monthly. Okay? And then once you fully fund it, you can check it off just so you know, just for your own knowledge. You don't have to use that column. It's totally up to you. Okay? So, and just for the savings tab, just to show you, I'll put in here that I have already saved $200. Okay? So that's my starting balance. Now your debt payoff, same thing. You put in your start date. You have your different payoff methods here, your monthly extra amount, and then you have your amounts owed, minimum payment, interest rate, payment due. I do not have the debt tab done yet, but I will eventually. Okay? So, with your savings as well, I have on here your total contribution. So if you're putting money into your sinking funds or for your savings every single month and you are making sure that you do save that bi-weekly payment every single time and you do save the monthly every time, it'll total it down here how much you actually have to put away bi-weekly or monthly to meet all of your savings goals. Okay? So that's the entire startup tab. It's a little intense, but once it's done and you're good to go. Now, if we go to the monthly calendar, Oh, I wanted to put on here, I wanted to put in my debt. So amount owed, we'll just say $1,000. Minimum payment, we'll just say it's 10. And the payment due date. So mostly with debts, the payment is due on one day every single month. It's usually always the same. So like my line of credit always comes out on the 22nd or the 14th or whatever. So it's always that day. So I'll just say the 14th here and call it good. If we go to my calendar, you can see now that my hydro bill's on here, my credit card bill's on here, my hydro bill's on here 2 weeks later. I just noticed, see, this is why this is good. It's not on the actual first day that I put it. So that's a problem. So I will adjust that. Then you can put in your paychecks. So if I enter in, an additional paycheck on the 2nd of February, it'll show up here. It'll auto do it. Okay. But then let's say it's not January anymore. It's February now. It automatically adjusts your bills and moves them to where they need to go, which I love. And then, you know what? I don't want my calendar to start on a Sunday. I want it to start on a Monday. Well, then here you go. There it is. So this is a completely dynamic calendar. It'll do everything for you. You just have to go in and switch the months and add in your paydays. That's the only thing that's not automatic, is your paydays. So that's it. You just gotta go in, switch your months around, and call it good. So very easy, very minimal effort. And that's what I wanted on this calendar. This sucker took me so long. Okay. All right. All that being said, let's go to our master budget spreadsheet now. So you have your budget period. Obviously, you put that in. We'll just say 1 Jan 26. Same as before, and we'll say it goes to the 14th of January 26. Okay, great. So my paycheck, I'm going to budget $2,000 for my paycheck. Okay? Now this shows up in red because I haven't actually put in an income yet. So technically, like, I'm short what I thought I was going to get right now. Like, I'm less than what I have. If I go into my transaction log and I put in $2,000, then it'll show up in black. Like if I'm even, it'll be black. If I'm over what I budgeted, it'll go green. Just like a nice little visual so that you know what's going on. So up here, I'm gonna move this down a little bit. Okay, so left to budget, I have $2,000 left to budget right now. $2,000. Okay. I am going to, shows my credit card on there, like my hydro, I'm going to say, $200. So now I have $1,800 left to budget, and everything over here auto calculates. Okay. Then I'm going to budget, $100 for groceries. Now I have $1,700 left to budget. And I'm going to put away $500 for Christmas. And you know what? I'm going to put $500 on my credit card. Okay? So right now, with my debt, because we want to make those payments, I'm red. Because I didn't make that payment. I need to make that payment. So once it hits 500, it'll go black. And then if you pay over, it'll go green. And that's perfect. So my previous budget spreadsheet used to flag like this as well, but it would flag, like if I paid more on my credit card, it would flag it as if it was like a bad thing and that I went over budget, and I didn't like that because that's not very encouraging, so I made it like this so that if you paid less, it's going to look bad. It's red, no bueno. Okay, but if you paid more, it's going to go green, and like that's good. Okay, same with your expenses. I'll probably change my savings to the same thing, because if I did less than what I wanted to save, then that's not very good. But if I did more, then that's good. Like, I don't want my savings to look like I went over budget, so I'll probably switch the conditional formatting of this as well. But my expenses, right now, this is green because I'm under budget. If I spend $110 on groceries, then I'm going to be over budget. Okay? So that's like the budget tab. And then again, part of the reason why the other spreadsheet kept messing up is because it would try to auto calculate your rollover and your actual. And that was the problem with it because you keep duplicating this tab. So how does it keep track of what you have left over? It was just very messy. So this now is a manual entry. So let's say I know that I know I'm going to have $100 rollover. Now that's going to add into my income, and it's not going to mess things up down the line because it's just a manual entry transaction. So you can budget your rollover. You can not budget your rollover. Choice is yours, but it's there if you need it, and it's not going to mess up your spreadsheet, okay? So with that being said, all that, we'll go into the savings dashboard. So here's my Christmas. I put in Christmas. These will all auto-populate. It'll show you your progress bar. It'll show you your start balance, how much you have saved so far, how much you spent out of that fund, and then how much you have left to save, okay? Because sometimes we spend out of our sinking funds. We do it all of the time. On the previous spreadsheet, there was not an amount spent section, and it would really mess things up with your tracker, and I didn't like that. But once you fully fund your sinking fund, it'll have this cute little left to save thing. It'll say fully funded, and then if I move my face, it'll show you how many goals you have fully funded. This looks funky right now because I don't have all of the savings things in there, but anyways, it'll show you all of that. So yeah, that's all of that. And then if you have a goal date, like if you don't have a goal date for a sinking fund or a savings category, it'll just say flexible. And then it won't populate anything in there. Okay, so that's your savings dashboard, your account tracker. Then there's the annual tracker. I'm still working on some of these things, like the top spending category and stuff. I wanted to get more of my funds in there so I can figure out how to format that calculation and all that jazz. Same with the top 20 expenses, but you have like your yearly overview that shows you everything. You have your income breakdown by month. You have your expense and bills and your debt and all of that stuff by month, okay? So all of that is in there. Then the transaction log. So this is what is really different. Okay. So let's say on January 5th, because that's when I got paid, 26, my category is income. My subcategory is my paycheck because that's where I got paid. And the amount was, we'll say, for, the budget's sake, we got $2,100. And you have to fill in the from account and the to account, okay? So I know that this income isn't coming from one of your accounts. I know it's coming from, your job. But the from account is just income, okay? To account, these are the things that I have put in. I put in my Christmas sinking fund. I put in my RBC checking, my RBC credit card. But it's going into my RBC checking account, okay? So then I go to my budget spreadsheet, and now it shows I actually made $2,100. Great. I'm in the green because I made more than what I did have. And now I have my left to spend over here. I have $2,100 left to spend, okay? So then we're going to go back over to my transaction log. And we're going to say, okay. And then the day after I got paid, I went and I bought groceries. Okay? Groceries. And I spent $100, or I'll say $50 on groceries. I went and spent $50 on groceries. So this came from my RBC checking account. I used my debit card to make this transaction. And then the to account is just expense. Okay? So now if I go over to my master budget sheet, it shows that I spent $50 on groceries. I have $2,050 left to spend, and I'm under budget still. Okay? Then I went back to the grocery store, a couple days later, on the 8th, and I needed groceries again. So I went back, I bought groceries. You know what? I needed $150 in groceries this time. But I used my credit card. Okay? Then this is an expense. Now, if I go over, excuse me, to my master budget sheet, I still have $2,050 left to spend from my checking account. Okay? It did not show up here that I spent $150 on groceries, but it shows up on here that I spent $150. Okay? But if I go to my annual tracker, it should, hey, why is that not working? I'll fix it. But anyways, it's supposed to log all of your transactions for all of these. So that's good to know. I'm going to have to fix that. So regardless if I spend it on my credit card or if I spend it on, my RBC checking or where I spend it from, it is supposed to show up in your annual breakdown. Okay, so after I stopped recording, this whole annual tracker thing was driving me bonkers. And I couldn't figure out why the heck it wasn't working. And then I figured it out. So I was like, I can't edit this. I need to figure out why this isn't working. And then I was like, I gotta come back on here and show you guys why it wasn't working. I did not have anything in this start date here. So if I take that out, nothing shows up. So you have to, in the annual tab, basically put the start date of when you're tracking all of these expenses. So I'm tracking from January 1st, 2026. I'm going to hit enter, and then bada boom, bada bing, bam, there's everything. So here's all of my nice charts and all of that good stuff. They're all in here. You can see, my income, how much I made, how much I spent in bills, expenses, savings, and then the net of that is $1,300. So it's all there. My paycheck is there. My bills are there. My expenses are there. My savings breakdown by month is there. Everything's there. So that is gonna I need to put that in my README section before I forget again. So I'm gonna go do that right now. Okay. Now that's logging. So now it logs your credit card transactions and all of that good stuff. I owe $200 for my hydro. I'm going to go over to my transaction log. I paid that on, 7 of January, 26. It was a bill. Whoopsie daisies. Done. Okay. It was a bill, and it was my hydro, and it was $100, and it came from my RBC checking account to an expense. And now if I go over to my master budget sheet, it shows that I paid $100 for that bill, because that's all it was, and that ended up being how much my bill was, and this is paid now. So you can just go in and check off if you've paid it. If you haven't, let me just get rid of this because it's driving me crazy. Okay, so you can check off there that you have paid it, because I want to go and see everything on my budget sheet. I don't want to have to flip back to my calendar, check off that I paid my bills, go back to my budget sheet. I just want everything to be right there. Savings. We said we were going to put $500 into savings. So we're going to go to the transaction log. And I'm going to say 8 Jan 26. I saved in Christmas, and I saved $500 from my RBC checking. And you know what I don't have in my setup? I don't have my, we'll say, sinking funds account. Okay? So I'm going to go back to my transaction log. So I moved my $500 from my RBC checking into my sinking funds account. So I'm going to say sinking funds here. Now, if I go to my master budget sheet, it says, okay, I did my $500. And then I'm going to, when I actually transfer that money over, I'm going to come here and I'm going to click transfer. Just so I know, okay, you did actually do that. You didn't just say you did that. Okay? Now, if I go into my account tracker, I have $650 out and I have $500 into my sinking funds because I logged it that way in my to account section. Okay? So it's supposed to track everything. Now we noticed some flaws already, so that's good. That's why we're doing this. But excuse me. That is the goal of this, and that's how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be able to track everything and not mess up your budget sheet. Like, I don't want, if I spend money from my sinking fund, I don't want it to mess this up and like show it all weird. Like, I just want everything to look nice and track things proper. So anyways, that being said, I'll show you mine because I have started logging some expenses on mine. I have the entire setup done and all of that stuff. So I meant to go and start you here. So here's my monthly calendar. I have all my bills on here and everything like that. I have my different pays and all that stuff, and everything is perfect. So this is the pay that we're budgeting. We're budgeting my mortgage, my hydro, my Jeep payment, my RBC line of credit, my water and property tax, and my RBC credit card. Okay? So let's go into pay 10 because that's the pay that we're on. And this is for the 8th to the 21st of May. And I've already entered in all my stuff. So my paycheck tomorrow is going to be $3,754.74. Then I have $100 in my Etsy account, my Etsy income account. So again, thank you. And I'm going to budget that out with you guys and see where we're going to put that extra $100. And then bills. So we have, and I ordered so these used to be in a different order on the other spreadsheet. Like savings was first, and then I think bills, and then expenses, and then debt. But really, I kind of ordered them in order of importance. In a way, like you need to pay your bills first, and then you have your expenses, and then you can save some money, and then you can make your debt payments, or debt and then savings, whichever. Those are like not, those are going to be very which way they go, but your bills and expenses always come before your savings. Like, you're never saving before you pay your bills. So I didn't like how I had to like go through my spreadsheet, enter in all my savings stuff first, but I haven't even like gotten to my bills and expenses yet. You know what I mean? So I kind of rearranged it. So I got my Jeep, my mortgage, my hydro bill is outrageous this month. Outrageous. I can't even believe it. $252.69. Like, what? Anyways, excuse me, I need to take a drink because, and don't mind, this is my adult beverage. So then we have my water and my property tax. So my total bills that I have budgeted is $1,329.85. Then we go over to my expenses. We got $200 for groceries, $50 for gas, $100 for pets, $50 for household just in case, $50 for eating out, $40 for miscellaneous, and $3 because I need to get my Vyvanse. Okay? And then coming over to savings, I got $50 automatically going into my RRSP, $200 automatically going into my TFSA. So right now, really, I can check these off as transferred because those are automatic. That's going to happen. They're going to go. Same with like my Jeep and my mortgage. Those are automatic. They're going to go. So if you know that like on your budget sheets, your bills that are automatic transfers, you can automatically check those off if you want. So you can keep track of knowing which ones you have to pay and which ones you don't. We have 180 going into my 1 month ahead. We have $80 for mini Mondays, so $40 each Monday. We have $210 for game day because one day is going to have $110 because I need to catch up on my quilt. And then $300 for debt binder, $150 each time, $120 each time for my Saturday savings. My daily savings, so I have a little bit of a new thing here. I'm going to be doing Sunday videos. This pay for sure. Sunday videos are going to be kind of sporadic, okay? It's going to depend on how much money I have, but I'm going to do Sunday videos, which is going to be part of my, I'm going to do my daily savings on that day, so the $10. And then I think I'm bringing in $30 or $25. It might be $25, and I'm going to do like 100 envelope type thing. With like 100 different savings challenges and save in them, and all of that money will go towards the blueprint to our dream home savings challenge. Okay, then I'm putting away an extra $100 for the dog and $40 for propane. My RBC line of credit payment is $250, and I'm putting $90 on my credit card as extra. So I have $101.89 left to budget. You can see that up here. If I go here, $101.89. So that is the extra $100 from my Etsy pay. And what I was going to do with this is I am going to do, what did I decide? $80 for Festive Friday. So we'll do $40 each week. And then I have an extra $20 here. So I'm going to bump my mini Mondays up to $100 and do $50 each pay or each week for my mini Mondays to get some extra savings in there. And then that is it. I do have a bit of a outstanding balance on my credit card. Guys, don't even ask me how it got back up to here, okay? I don't even know. I've been trying really hard to have it not be like that, but here we are. So, oopsie-daisies. I don't know how I did that. But here is my budget breakdown for this pay. So next pay, we will be logging all of my expenses and all of that good stuff. I will show you all of that next pay and how it looks on this spreadsheet with my accounts and all of that jazz. And yeah. I'm super excited about it. I'm excited to start using it. Obviously, I'm noticing some kinks already, so I'm going to have to fix those. But yeah, that is my budget spreadsheet. I hope you guys like it. Let me know if there's any other tabs that you think I should have on here. Like, I don't know, I was thinking maybe like a net worth tracker. Some people track their net worth. I don't know if everybody would be interested in that. I don't track my net worth, so I don't even know really how I would make it. I would have to go back to Chat GPT and find out from Chat how to make it. But yeah, I really like it so far. And I'm excited to see how it works and make sure that it like works how I want it to. That's the main thing. So yeah, anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow for a Festive Friday. We haven't had one of those in a while, so I'm super excited about that. And I will, yeah, I'll just see you tomorrow, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.